Welcome to the hey, welcome to the Pinfall Podcast. I am your host, Liz. I was just attacked by my cat. She put her little paws up on the side of the office chair and then licked my arm, and it scared the bejesus out of me because I saw her walk past the chair first.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden there was something touching my arm. I was like, I don't expect her to get up that high. I'm your host, Liz. I am joined as always by my I'm joined as always by my co-host Marcus. Woo, happy Monday.
Hi.
I don't know. I'm a little
You good? Did you not have enough water today?
actually I'm a little too hydrated. I forgot to go to the bathroom before this.
Huh. Before we get started with everything, just want to thank Blake is All Elite for following on Friday. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay.
I got this.
That's a lot.
I doubt I will drink more than 2 glasses, but I'm prepared.
Mm-hmm.
More than 2 glasses. So happy Monday Night Raw. How'd you like it? How'd you feel about it?
I thought this was fantastic. I thought this was one of the best Raws we've seen.
It made me angry, and I can't describe why. I just was frustrated with it. I think 90% of my anger stemmed from listening to Corey talk too much. I think that's what happened.
It could have been that or the audience, because the crowd was shit today. They were garbage.
I think that was also it. I think that had something to do with it.
And you're probably also very jaded, and you naturally hate anything that has to do with Raw or main roster WWE.
Quick, I want to point out, got my new shirt. This is for Aaron Rourke. He's got some merch. So if you want to buy some Aaron Rourke merch, I really like this one. You can find him on Pro Wrestling Tees, easy enough, at AARONROURKE. I highly encourage it.
Is that a .com or?
No, if you go into Pro Wrestling Tees and just search the name,
gotcha.
You'll find it.
Yeah, Miriam's right. We all have trust issues when it comes to Raw. But I thought this was fantastic.
And you and I sat through that first match and we were like, something's going to happen.
Yeah. And
you're not going to give us a clean women's match, which...
I mean, it was as clean would get when it comes to a fucking match like that. They just wanted to up the fucking in-ring performances today, give matches time, and just, put stories.
Actually got matches. Got women's matches that lasted.
Yeah, we got a women's tag team match that lasted.
I don't agree with the ending of the tag team match, but it lasted a number of minutes over 3.
Every match was tied to a story, whether it was small or not, and that ending I thought was fantastic. We actually dove deep into characters, and it felt like a very character driven episode, which is what makes them so good. Everything had a story and writing and thought. And Seth.
Oh God, he looked. I think that was another thing that made me just angry. Was that outfit today. Oh boy.
Yeah.
It was a slap in the face.
That was Fred Flintstone.
Fred Flintstone chic.
Yeah. The Gucci Fred Flintstone.
How was your Halloween?
Halloween was fun. It was a good Halloween. We had a little party, and yesterday we relaxed.
Yesterday I cut my finger open.
On a tin.
On a tin, on a goddamn baking tin of all things. Let's even like something cool. Like I wasn't like speed chopping carrots or some shit. I was just gonna get a little treat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all around it was a very nice Halloween.
Yeah. My one of my favorite holidays.
I think this was the first Halloween, barring the day before Halloween. This was the first Halloween where I was like, this is nice. I enjoy this. And then we went into on literal Halloween, we walked into CVS and they had all the Merry Christmas stuff up, and I was like,
yeah,
made it. It's the holiday season, baby.
It's not though.
It is.
It's not.
I'm having fun.
Can I quickly shout out the UPF real quick? Since it's been a while since I've shouted that out. Go to upfworld.com, everybody. It's a project we all work on, combining Pokemon and professional wrestling. If you enjoy either of those things, definitely go check it out. We have a Patreon too. I don't know the exact URL. I think I'm not gonna guess. Everything's on upfworld.com. It's a great series. Definitely go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Buy some of the merch, some cool shirts. Yeah. All right. Raw?
Yeah. My phone I didn't realize I accidentally turned my phone on noise and just made a noise. First time it's made a noise in years.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so some news. A shockingly small amount, not a small amount of news, but a shockingly limited amount of news for today.
I've got some news on GCW. If you want me.
I also have some news on GCW.
Is it about somebody who's just signed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can give it. Why don't you start us off, because there's a lot of returns and signings and shit.
Okay. So, just announced, making his debut at GCW Evil in Detroit is Leon Ruff. He is one of the last people I would expect to be doing GCW, but you know what? Good for him. Good for him.
It works.
Also happening at that event is Allie Katch versus Chelsea Green, Matt Cardona versus Alex Shelley, Yamashita versus I don't know most of these names, but it's Yamashita versus Charlie, Takeda and Cologne versus King and NDC, Atticus Kogar and Eddie versus Jordan and Wayne, and SGC versus Alex Zane and Tony Deppen.
Tony Deppen.
This actually seems like... Oh, it's Evil Deeds, not Evil. But yeah, Evil Deeds. I actually kind of really want to watch this show. I'm not a big GCW person, but this show seems interesting.
I wish there was just like a way that like we could, I don't know, like buy like a package on Fight TV that's like, you get X amount of like this tier level shows and like X amount of this tier of shows. Because it is not cheap to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, like maybe like a tier, like you get all of the GCW shows, you get like the Impact, like any promotion that has monthly pay-per-views, you get access to those. But then like you still have to pay for like AEW pay-per-views. I'd be fine with that. Or like the big Impact pay-per-views.
Like, you know, there's like, I know like some GCW pay-per-views are like $10. Like GCW does something like regularly. I don't know. It'd be nice to not have to spend so much money.
Yeah.
I understand that that's the only thing keeping these like promotions alive, and I respect that. It's just on a selfish note.
Yeah. And ticket sales.
Yeah. Great. I had mascara on. That was not smart. Rub my eye. In addition to Leon debuting, we also have Speedball Mike Bailey signed with Impact. He signed his contract quite literally on the back of Josh Alexander, which I thought was incredible. I loved it.
It was right after his match with Josh Alexander. And Scott D'Amore came out and handed him the contract. Good for him.
I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Also, Jeff Cobb is making his MLW return. He is going to be at War Chamber. I don't know in what respect. It's just that he was Court Bauer, the CEO of MLW, said that he is going to be entering the mix. So, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just had to finish reading the quote. But this is also in addition to Enzo getting Matt Cross as his soul. And on the heels of Cobb losing the G1. Then also have some news about Johnson Reed opened up slightly about what happened with Bound for Glory. Basically saying he said that he's not at the liberty to discuss what's going on. At the moment, he is getting everything confirmed with immigration so that he can stay.
Who is that?
Stick around. Johnson Reed or Jonah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it doesn't sound like it was. It doesn't sound like it was like something like a booking happened, or he decided last minute that he didn't want to do it. It sounds like he was not able to do it based on visa shit.
Yeah.
Also, in the world of indie wrestling, Danhausen and Mance Warner, bless their souls, had a match last night where within moments of each other, 8 minutes maybe, apparently they both broke their. Mance Warner broke his ankle, and Danhausen broke his tibia and the other one, the other bone that's also there. He tweeted about it. It was his tibia and like what is it, fibula?
Something like that.
Yeah, the fibula. So he broke both of those. So not great. Kind of cosmic the way that it happened. But hopefully they will be back soon. I don't know how long broken tibias and fibulas and ankles last. I don't think it's very quick when you're older. I know like with kids it's like they break shit and it's like fine like a couple weeks later because they're growing. But like I feel like once you're an adult it's kind of like takes a minute. So I don't know. Best of luck to them. Like half of my news is like people like showing up at places. The other half is like injuries. Because we also got news that Archer should be Lance Archer. I don't know why my brain isn't really all here. Lance Archer apparently suffered a jammed neck on the spot against Kingston where he, jammed his neck into the ground. But there's not a timeline set up for how he's going to return. But there is better than good chance that he's not going to be at Full Gear. Whether that's just because he wasn't scheduled in general to show up because he doesn't exactly have a feud or matches going on.
Right.
He's not scheduled for Full Gear. So hopefully he is back on his feet soon. Then the last piece of injury news that we have is Thunder Rosa suffered a concussion.
Did she?
Yeah.
When?
About 10 days ago. She revealed in a vlog that she hadn't gone to the gym in 10 days Specifically, she said, "I'm going to the gym finally. I haven't exercised in about 10 days after my concussion, just trying to be safe." Um, she was at AAW's Hell Hath No Fury show.
Mm-hmm.
She fought Jody Threat, so I guess she's medically cleared, but it's just the fact that she like did like that. She mentioned it in like such passing, just like, anyways. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And then we also have news on AEW's first quarterly pay-per-view for next year.
Is it
Is going
Revolution?
is not.
Really?
What it is it's going to be on January 8th, 2022. Or rather, they're looking to host a special on TNT. Sorry, that's not their first pay-per-view.
Okay, this is one of their special Saturday supercards that they mentioned they were gonna do.
Correct. What they're going to do is something called Battle of the Belts, which is a show that NWA used in the mid '80s. That is because they're not allowed to use the name Clash of the Champions.
Hell yeah.
They are, so that's going to be at 8 me. It's going to be on January 8th, 2022, TNT. I guess they're planning to have these quarterly specials. So I think that'll be exciting. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pay-per-view without being a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it seems like yeah, it seems like WWE's live shows, but on TV.
Yeah. All right. Last piece of news. There's a chance that NXT is going back to touring soon. Apparently WWE is seeking a senior production assistant of social media for NXT 2.0. And the listing on the job notes that the role involves, and this is quote unquote by Wrestle Talk, and then probably quote unquote by the job description, creating content for various social channels at various WWE live events, television tapings, network specials, and talent appearances. Apparently, also Dave Meltzer stated that there were plans discussed for NXT to resume touring in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what that means, but it apparently looked like they kind of looked at different smaller venues in Florida. So it might be fun to kind of see NXT back on the road and maybe a better crowd they've had in recent times.
Speaking of crowds, I've got a little bit of news that I just found that's not related to WWE, but rather NJPW and other Japanese promotions.
Ho. Okay.
So according to Mainichi.jp, Japan has lifted its COVID restrictions to allow shouting and cheering in venues that are capped at 50% attendance, but limits can be decided upon by the respective prefectures.
Nice.
So, NJPW could have cheering audiences again, albeit less people.
I am looking forward to that because, like, bless the Japanese audiences, they follow the rules so well. But I can't wait to like hearing.
Yeah.
It's like being at like a golf event.
Yeah.
All right. That is the last bit of news that I have. Or the last bit of news that you have, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to move into the show?
I would. So, let's talk about tonight's Raw. Great episode. Great. So we started off immediately with Bianca and Gorilla. She says, I wasn't ready for Becky at SummerSlam. Becky is someone I really liked, but 26 seconds later, I'm sitting there with no championship. I'll never regret my mistakes. Becky has completely lost sight of what it means to be champion. I'm used to people trying to tear me down during on the sideline. I have always showed up and showed out. There's no match bigger than a match for the Raw Women's Championship. Then we get Becky and Gorilla. She says, Bianca did earn her way to the top because I wasn't there to stop her. The day after I gave birth, I was doing 24 push-ups. I don't think people realize how hard it is to be me, how hard it is to balance being champ and the life I have. Tonight, that will motivate me to beat Bianca and once again. Beat Bianca once again. And then we get Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship, and this fucking rocked.
Yeah. Like I said, I was like nervous. I was nervous this whole time. It was like there's got to be a reason they're giving us this match in the beginning. There's got to be something going on. Like someone's gonna interrupt. Someone's gonna come out.
Yeah.
Like tossing around names of who could come out.
But no one did.
There was a part of me that thought, because like they started off like fighting. Becky ended up shoving Bianca. Bianca shoved Becky. I don't know how I fucked those notes up. Bianca shoved Becky, and Becky like kind of like looked like at the ref like, are you gonna allow this? And I was like, shit, no. You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna do like the fucking like can they coexist thing, except not really, where it's like, oh, this is out of hand. We can't do this. That doesn't happen. There's a tug of war. Becky holds onto Bianca's braid. Bianca blocks, pulls Becky into the post. Hits her with a vertical suplex ringside. Back in the ring, Becky gets a modified disarmer onto Bianca, but it's not enough to end the match. Later on in the match, we have a nasty gutbuster to Becky that like looked like a knee right into the ribs, and I was like, oh Lord. Then Bianca goes for the glam slam. It gets countered by Becky, rolling through and rolling Bianca up in like a very compact package. This proceeded several more roll-ups. Eventually, Becky goes for the disarmer, but Bianca lifts her. Fucking one-handed, lifts her up. Becky ends up maneuvering herself, though, so she can dump herself and Bianca over the top rope. Back in the ring again, Becky is going for an armbar. Bianca reverses, lifts Becky up. Becky counters with a nasty Hurricane Rana. Bianca then powerbombs Becky from way up in the air. And you could see that it was like kind of a etchy sort of move, because you could see Becky grab her head before like she hit the ground.
I think she just naturally did that.
Bianca was only holding her by like the lower half, like by her ass, basically. Yeah. There's way more wiggle room. Eventually, Becky goes has a dragon sleeper hold on Bianca. Bianca escapes. She gets Becky up top, deadlifts her, drops her on the fucking ground. Later on, Becky's going for the knee drop. Bianca avoids it, hits Becky with that glam slam, goes for the KOD, but Lynch grabs the ropes. She takes the turnbuckle pad off in doing that, and then sends Bianca into it, rolls her up by the tights to win the match. Which I have feelings about this match that I'll talk about later, but it was a really good match. It really was.
The finish protected Bianca.
Yeah, but for what now?
To challenge again. WWE always wants to protect everyone. Like they want to protect everyone that is in the main event scene. And clearly they want Bianca to be a champion at some point, and they don't want her to be knocked down a peg by losing clean. And they probably want her to be the one to to take down Becky further down the line, probably closer to Royal Rumble time. She'll probably face her at Royal Rumble. Yeah. But who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to discount this match though, because this match was like incredible.
Yeah, it really was. And we just started with that.
Yeah, but they were just like, here, have this, and I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, they're taking notes from we're taking notes from AEW, starting the show with a classic and then going from there. So then we get Ray and Dom and Gorilla. Ray says Austin Theory's talented, but also arrogant and disrespectful. Austin then walks in. He says, "It is a big honor to step in the ring with you. It just sucks we never got to take that selfie last week. I'll take it tonight after I beat you like I beat your son." Dom says, "You better show my pop some respect." Ray says, "You're not the first trying to make a name for yourself at my expense." And then we get Ray Mysterio versus Austin Theory. And this match was also a lot of fun. The ending was lame, but it's gonna carry somewhere that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah. I think this was the first match where Theory actually looked like the NXT Austin Theory.
Yeah. I agree.
So we pretty much kicked the match off with this fucking nasty Hurricane Rana from Ray.
Cleanest Hurricane Rana I've seen.
Yeah, that was nice. He ends up slamming Ray down like he's like a fucking sack of feathers, though. Goes onto the apron, jumps over the ropes, and stomps on Ray. Gets him up into the torture rack position, and then throws him down into a backbreaker, all while staring at Dom.
That was nasty.
Yeah, it was me a little uncomfortable. All while staring at Dom. So Dom's like sitting there like, "You're mean to me last week. You're mean to me this week. You're gonna do something." That's Dom. So there's a seated senton onto Theory and a lingering springboard crossbody from Ray. That was so pretty. He just like kind of floated there for a second. I was like, wow. So Ray goes for the Cazadora, but it gets countered with a back to belly suplex from Theory.
That was
Theory
cool.
then. Okay, so then I kind of missed what happened here. Did Theory dropkick Dominic? A basement dropkick?
Dominic?
Yeah, because he does something to Dominic.
Yeah, he dropkicked Dominic, and that gets him pissed off.
Right. So Theory dropkicks Dom. Dom's like, okay, I'm just hanging out here, support my pops, but okay, sure. Ray gets Theory, though, into position for the 619, and Dominic Mysterio comes through with the tiniest, littlest slap across the face to Theory. Ray gets the 619. And the refs, the middle of Ray covering. This was like confusing. In the middle of Ray covering, that's when, what's his face?
Spider?
Zapata. That's when he was like, "Wait a second, did you do something, Dom?" And then he's like, "No, DQ the match." And then Ray's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I mean, the DQ made sense because he hit Theory.
Yeah.
And it's going to carry to a conflict between Ray and Dom. Ideally, a feud that we've been waiting for.
It was really more so, the reason that it didn't sit right was just because it was almost delayed.
Yeah.
But this is like the Becky and Sasha thing all over again, where I'm like, I know what we're setting up for. Just rip the fucking Band-Aid off. I don't want to like have the carrot dangled in front of my face.
Yeah. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I think the ending makes sense. Still some good stuff. And then we get a long ass promo.
Oh, bless.
So Seth Rollins comes out, and everyone sit tight because this will be a lot. I'll try and condense it as best I can, but here we go. So Seth comes out. He says, I'm not the kind of person to come out here and toot my own horn, but I've come out with a purpose. While I'm here, let me tell you that I am on top of the world. Last week in a grueling ladder match, I defeated former top-tier world champions to earn this opportunity at the WWE Championship. It feels good and right. I was drafted here to be the face of Monday nights. The only thing that's missing is a title around my waist. This contract guarantees you're looking at your next WWE champion. Biggie then comes out. He says, last week, I came out to congratulate you on winning the ladder match, but instead of shaking my hand, you laughed in my face and slinked off like the Pink Panther. My aunt said not to let that man bother me. Seth said, that's not how I remember it. I challenged you for that title right there. You told me I had to go earn it. Like you didn't know that I'm Seth freaking Rollins. Also, sorry, my eyes are like very sensitive to light right now, and I'm like blinking at everything. After I won this, I tried to shake your hand and you didn't accept it. I lost a bit of respect for you. You've been a fine champion, but you're not on my level. You and I are gonna fight for that title. You don't want the responsibility anyway. Let me take that off your shoulder and you can go back to being a joke with your friends. He makes fun of King Xavier and Kofi Mania, saying that they're both jokes. Biggie says, I'll be damned if I let you disrespect one of the greatest moments of WWE history, Kofi Mania. Seth Rollins versus Biggie for the WWE Championship tonight. And then Seth says, think about this for a minute. The crowd doesn't want to see that. You all know that I am not 100% after the ladder match last week. I'm not falling into your trap. Kevin Owens then comes out. He says, Biggie, you have a strong claim being WWE champion that you're the face of Monday Night Raw. Seth, you think you're the face of Mondays because you're a delusional dumbass. And then you have Bianca and Becky saying that they're the faces of Monday Night Raw. And the proof for you, Seth, is your suit right there. I feel like there's somebody everyone is forgetting. This handsome face right here. This face should be the face of Raw. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. People weren't talking about you winning. They were talking about me and my performance in that ladder match. Every single time I step in the ring, I give it my absolute best. It didn't work out for me last week. When I tell people to just keep fighting, it doesn't matter what happens to me. I will show up next week and just keep fighting. What matters is every single time you can believe, I will do everything I can to give the WWE Universe something to remember. If you're not going to fight Biggie tonight, then get out of the ring because I'll fight him tonight. Seth's like, that's a great idea. And Kevin's like, I don't want to hear a fucking word from you. And Seth's like, I'm on your side.
Oh, keep going. Sorry.
But Biggie just finishes with, there can only be one face of Raw, but you make a good point. It's on.
So you missed two things in that recap. You did. First of all, Kevin Owens said whether it's something about whether he is going for another 3 months, another 3 years, which directly referenced the fact that his contract is obviously up in months.
Mm-hmm.
And then Big E said something about the faces of whatever.
Oh, he said there can only be one. It's not Mount Rushmore.
Right. And I liked it a little bit. I got,
For those who don't know, the Mount Rushmore in pro wrestling is Kevin Owens or Kevin Steen is the Young Bucks, right?
I believe.
And El Generico or Adam Cole?
Adam Cole.
Okay. And so 3 of those heads on Mount Rushmore are together right now, one of them is not. And it's just very cheeky. This whole episode feels like Vince stepped out of the office for like
substitute teacher was there today.
Yeah, the substitute teacher was like Tyson Kidd or TJ Perkins, or no, not TJ Perkins. What's his name?
Yeah, Tyson.
Tyson, yeah. But what's his real name? Is that his real name? His shoot name?
You're asking me to look up so many things. TJ Wilson.
TJ Wilson, that's it.
Almost like I haven't watched Divas.
I knew it was TJ. But yeah, maybe he was producing the entire episode today.
Honestly, like I don't know. It just like it felt very cheeky today.
Yeah.
I like that, you know. Everyone else gets to be cheeky on their wrestling shows. Why can't WWE fellas have a little fun?
Yeah. So after that, we then get a promo with Carmella and Zelina Vega. They're walking backstage, and they run into Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash. Zelina looks at Nikki's mask, and it's like, oh, it's a nice mask. And Nikki's like, thanks. I wear this because it tells people they can be whoever they want. Or be whatever they want.
It was B.
How does the I don't know. I'm so tired of Nikki Ash in this fucking character. None of what she says makes sense at all.
What she meant was, I wear this mask to show people that you can get anything by WWE Creative.
They didn't know who I was till I put on the mask. Or they didn't care who I was till I put on the mask.
God. I kind of become desensitized to Nikki at this point.
God, well, we haven't heard her in so long.
I think the thing for me today, especially, was that Selena's fake accent bothers me so much more.
Really?
Than Nikki Cross's gimmick. I was just like, fuck it, fine. Let her do whatever she wants to do.
I think her accent's so funny because it symbolizes her arrogance and her pompousness. And because when she turns to Carmella and talks casually, she talks in her normal accent.
Well, she wasn't talking in her normal accent.
Yeah, when she was whispering to Carmella as they were walking away, that was her normal voice. That wasn't her fake English accent.
Yeah, but they were walking together at one point. Just the two of them walking together, and she was doing the fake accent.
Yeah, because she was still using vibrato in her voice and had to put on the royal persona for anyone who could be looking.
Never pegged you for a Zelina apologist, but I guess this is where we are today. Lines have been drawn in the sand.
I don't think Zelina's the worst in the roster.
I didn't say she was the worst on the roster. I'm just saying that her shtick at this point makes my head spin. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me, just because it's like it's awkward. It doesn't feel like she's committed to it.
It's because her character's not.
Mark, no offense, bud. The way you're seeing it, I can understand.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense. It looks really good. That is not what they're doing. They're not like, oh, she's like this partially insecure person, but like she's very like up her own ass outside of it.
But the writers don't need to write that. That's all Zelina just, oh, I have this, so I'm just gonna put on an accent and be very arrogant when I deliver my lines. But then when I'm whispering something to somebody, like she can't hold on to it because it's all just a veil.
I just don't think that she remembers to do her accent sometimes. That's just me.
I don't think you're giving Zelina the credit that she deserves.
I think I'm giving her just enough credit.
Okay. All right. well.
She looks good at least.
Mm-hmm. Then we had Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley versus Carmella and Zelina Vega in a championship contenders match.
This was a hard match for me to follow, and I think this was a hard match for me to follow because of Corey the entire time. Because not only do I hate the whole, we both hated the most beautiful woman in WWE thing that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
We both hated that.
Yeah.
And Corey, without any reason, is continuing it, even though it's not really a thing anymore. I get it, like, Carmella's thing right now is, like, being very, like, vain. We haven't really had, like, the most beautiful woman in WWE discourse, and yet Corey's still doing it. And he spends parts of matches, like, where things are happening, talking about how hot Carmella is. And I'm like, dude, this is, like, I can't.
They just need to have Corey manage Carmella. That is the route this should be taking. He shouldn't be doing this on commentary. Just have him manage Carmella. It will be great. You will fully elevate Carmella having Corey manage her. It's like having Robert Stone manage somebody. Jessie Camilla wasn't really anything noteworthy until she was being managed by Robert Stone. And then suddenly she was put on a pedestal.
I also just don't have fun when he's so mean to Byron.
It's because it's the same thing every week.
Yeah, it's just like, so he had some comment about Dana Brooke. I don't even remember what it was. I remember talking about it when it happened, but I don't remember what it was at this point.
He said that she hasn't accomplished much or anything at all.
So he addressed it on Ryan Satin's podcast. If you want to read the whole quote, be my guest. It is a novella. Embarrassing. But basically half of it, the first few sentences were like, you know, I like to toe the line. I like to, like, be a little bit out there. And I was like, dude, no one needs you to do that. Commentator. No one's asking, like, Wade's not nice to Vic. He's nice enough.
Yeah,
you know?
Byron, he maintains a professional courtesy.
They cut to the announce desk at one point. And Byron straight up, like, Corey was, like, talking shit to him. There was malice in Byron's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't just like, oh, Corey's making fun of me today. It was like, you could see the wheels turning in the back of his head where he was like, can I just get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. So, we start with Rhea versus Selena. Rhea just kind of shoves Selena. Carmella gets in. And he slaps the fucking shit out of Rhea. Rhea just starts fighting back. She hauls off on Carmella. Nikki gets in. She drops Carmella. She shoves Zelina into the corner. Ends up crossbodying both women ringside at the behest of Rhea, which was actually really fun. Because Rhea was, like, encouraging her to go jump. Nikki was just full feral. And I was like, you know what? We haven't gotten feral Nikki in a while. Kind of miss that.
Drop the ASH gimmick, please. Just give us normal Nikki.
I just feel bad that she lost Cross because of Karrion Kross, and look at what Karrion Kross is doing right now.
It wasn't even on the episode.
Anyways. So we go to commercial break. We come back. Carmella ends up wrenching Rhea to the ground. There's a dropkick, though, to Zelina. Rhea, or Nikki, I think, takes Carmella off the apron. Carmella ends up sending Rhea into the post. Neither of them are legal, so why not? It's because Rhea was trying to slam Carmella's face into the announce desk. Then he gets hit with the sunset flip bomb by Zelina to win. They're now the #1 contenders for the tag titles. You know what? Whatever, fine.
Well, we'll see if they even are.
I hate to say it. I think they might get those titles.
Yeah. They might move Rhea and Nikki to singles roles.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because like Rhea has so much potential, and Nikki also has some potential.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki skill wise has potential. The gimmick, I'm not so sure, but two of them have so much going for them as singles wrestlers, where Zelina and Carmella kind of fall flat right now.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd just be like, fine, we'll saddle Zelina and Carmella with this. Then like Zelina's the queen and she's also the tag champ. Like it's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Unless they don't want to give like a King of the Ring or Queen of the Ring titles because they consider that a title already. Like I don't see Woods getting a title.
I don't see Woods getting a title, but I also see Woods doing more with his
His crown.
Royalty, yeah, with his royalty. Than I see Zelina doing.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like it's not like Selena's fault. I'm just saying like based on how the writers have treated the women's division as of late, I don't see her doing much.
She is doing something. Like it's not like her reign as queen has already fallen. She's doing stuff.
Yeah, she's walking around. She's being annoying.
Yeah. All right. So then we get Biggie backstage with the Alpha Academy. Gable says Seth was right. You don't have what it takes to be the face of Raw. With my help, we can change that. E says, if your plan is to make me a walking thumb, no thanks. Chad's like, well, I graduated from Full Sail with a master's degree, and I was valedictorian. Don't come crying to me when you become a foothole in history, or a footnote in history. You want proof? Watch what happens when Finn Balor... Sorry, I'm like squinting at my notes.
The case for Mondays.
Watch what happens with Finn Balor when the master turns the prince into a peasant. Then we get a video package for Veer, and he's kind of got a new name. Veer Mahan.
I didn't realize that.
Name. Is it Mahan or something else? I think it's Mahan.
I wasn't watching it. I saw that it was a Veer package, and I was like, oh, okay, they're just re-airing the one from last week, because it started quite the same.
Right. I'm going to double check, but in the meantime, we have Finn Balor versus Chad Gable. Great match. This was great. Really fun.
This was one of those matches that I was like, damn, this is what I've been missing.
Yeah, this also had like no right being as good as it is.
Right. Like, so first of all, a lot of grappling. Drop to hold ends up getting Finn to the ground, but Finn transitions to a wrist lock. The failed drop kick to Chad. Finn gets thrown down into the ankle lock. Transitions from that into an armbar, but he gets thrown right back into the ankle lock. Balor ends up getting out. He double stomps on Chad, which I thought was great because it almost like the way it was done was almost like out of frustration. It felt like.
Yeah.
It was just like, fucking leave me alone. Gable ends up going up top. He moonsaults off the top rope right square onto Finn's knees. Then get drop kick to Chad. Chad goes for a fucking superplex. He gets locked up in an inside cradle. Finn wins. And I was like, fuck me. That's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was one of those matches, and this is what I say about like Zack Sabre Jr. matches where it's like you can kind of see them thinking about like what their next move is. And that's how I felt about this match. It felt very like, especially in the beginning, you can kind of see like the wheels turning.
Yeah. All right, so then after that we had Riddle backstage. He runs into the Dirty Dogs. He says, I'm a huge fan of dogs. Are dogs your spirit animals? Big Bob, you're a Great Dane, and Dolph, you remind me of my old dog, one of my dogs, Alfonso. Rude says, oh no, Dolph says, when you're out there during our match on commentary, pay attention closely. Last week was a fluke. It was unfair how we had to wrestle twice in one day. Rude says, you and Randy can kiss those titles goodbye. And then we get the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dogs. And this was a lot of fun. It was a good balance between focusing on commentary and the match itself. And then the end happened, which was kind of lame, but...
The thing about this match that really, really got me was crowd.
Yeah.
It was so annoying. So if you didn't watch, the crowd was chanting for Riddle and Randy like intermittently. Meanwhile, they are not the wrestlers in this match. Also, Randy straight up did not look like he wanted to be there. The way he sounded like he didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they changed his music.
They made the Arcade Bro music kind of funky, like
Tag teamified in my veins or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's
Voices. That's the name of it.
Thank you.
It's like it's voices, but it's kind of got like a beat
like
mixed
Bob.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a Bob.
Yeah,
Just
it's not good.
Using.
Let's bring back voices, because Riddle would vibe to voices, and the whole story with Riddle was that he wanted to be more like Randy. He was trying to basically copy him, and so if you have them both come out to voices, Randy's walkout, that fits the story. That's the Arcade Bro music.
I missed the boat in making like Riddle's a super fanboy. I feel like that could have been a really cool feud.
Well, I think I think that's kind of the long game they're playing, because I mean, Money in the Bank, he did that. Like, he was the fanboy and wrestled for him and all that. And I think he's going to escalate so much and become so much like Randy that he ends up betraying Randy.
That would be nice. He becomes the Viper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we start with Rude and Montez. We shortly thereafter get Dawkins in. He kicks Rude and Dolph under the chin. Unloads Rude from the ring. Dolph tries to interfere in Dawkins attempting to, I think, slam Rude into the announce desk. Montez stops him, though. Basically, go to commercial. We come back. There's a silencer to Dolph. Dawkins wants out of the fucking ring. He's tired. But Rude stops him. Dawkins ends up suplexing Rude, gets Montez in, which I kind of thought was like a funky little thing, because like if Dawkins was so like depleted that he couldn't even get out to tag Montez in, where is he getting the energy to suplex Rude? I don't know. That's just me being annoying. So we get a big frog splash onto Rude before Dawkins counters literally every move that Big Bob throws at him. We get a standing blockbuster. Dolph ends up breaking the cover, though. Montez gets in. Rude catapults Montez right into a DDT from Dolph. They go to cover. Dawkins breaks that up, sends both men to ringside. And then who comes out but fucking Omos? And he distracts the match. Dolph gets one up on Montez and wins. And Dawkins like tries to like attack Omos, and Omos just tosses him.
Yeah, Omos is becoming very tiring at this point.
I don't get it. Where's AJ?
Probably doesn't need to come out. They don't need to pay him that day.
Yeah.
We then had an interview with Damien Priest. He says that side has always been there. Once he shows his face, people tend to get hurt. I think T-Bar is a hell of a competitor. until he threw a chair at my face. You disrespect me, I'm gonna go to a dark place. Tonight, no disqualifications. He has a chance to get very acquainted with the Damien in me. And then we get Damien Priest versus T-Bar in a no DQ match. And this match fucking rocked. This was amazing.
This had no business being this good.
It did not. And it wasn't like for a title or anything. It was just... This was just like a grudge match, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. Damien just beats the piss out of T-Bar for a hot minute. T-Bar ends up getting a bit of an upper hand. He slams Damien into the apron, but he gets tossed right into the barricade shortly thereafter. T-Bar ends up setting up a table, and it's one of those things where you're like, "Ooh, T-Bar, don't do that." He wants to powerbomb Priest into it, but Damien fights back. He slams... T-Bar ends up slamming Damien into the post, and takes Damien off the top rope on his shoulders, slamming into him like sort of an Irish curse. No, a white noise. Sort of like a top rope white noise.
Yeah.
Except it's T-Bar.
It was more like a Samoan drop. He had him like a white noise, but then or like an air raid crash, but the way he landed was like a Samoan drop.
Raid crash was more of what I was going for.
Mm-hmm.
So he brings Damien down to the mat, slams into him, choke slams him off the top rope. Like, he puts him up top and then just fucking picks him up and yeets him. Then T-Bar starts fucking hitting Damien. He gets Damien tied up in the ropes. He's hitting Damien with a fucking kendo stick. Until the kendo stick splinters into a million pieces. Then T-Bar, like, runs at Damien with the broken in half kendo stick as if he's like about to stab Damien.
He pulled a Goldberg and said, "No DQ means I have a license to kill."
I was like, what the wait. Like, I don't know. I feel like that stuff happens a lot in wrestling, but like this time I was like kind of caught on to it and I was like, what was the end game? The end game in that.
Yeah.
Damien ends up getting up though. He hits a big lariat, dropping T-Bar, gets a chair, smacks T-Bar around for a little bit, and then sends T-Bar into a table. The table fucking shatters. Then Damien gets a reckoning to win. This match was so good.
It was. It really was.
It was goofy. It should not have been that good.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was story driven, and then Apollo Crews comes out and basically stakes his claim to why he should be the next challenger for the US title. No official challenge, but he throws his hat in the ring.
It's been a while since he's challenged for that.
Yeah, it really has. 1 year now, I think it's been.
He's like, now that Bobby has other things going on, maybe I'll take my chances here.
So then we had promo with John Morrison. Reggie walks in, and Morrison says, "I can feel it. I can reach and attain my goals." Truth then attacks Reggie. Reggie escapes. Truth and Tozawa chase after Reggie. Morrison says, "You gotta align your mind and bodies." Drake Maverick walks in, and Tozawa and Truth yell at Drake that your plan is not working. We get an interview with Becky next. She says, "I only used what was available. Even though I tore the house down, half the audience was booing me. They are fickle. They can't relate because they don't know what it's like being a success. I stand in a whole league of my own." And then Liv Morgan comes in, and she stares daggers at Becky Lynch. And that man that had the push Liv Morgan sign must be thrilled.
My dude was probably like, exactly.
It sure is a shame, though, that Liv lost her last 2 matches that she definitely did not need to lose.
Yeah.
Then we had Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens backstage. Seth said, "We don't have to like each other to do business. Let's do a little you scratch my back, I scratch your back. I'll go out there and help you get the W. When I win the title, I'll give you the first title opportunity." And KO's like, "Oh my god, really? I enjoy getting my back scratched as much as anyone. You want to come out there and see in person why I should be the face of Raw, but if you think for a second about trying to interject yourself, then it's no longer you business, it becomes my business." Seth said, "You do your thing, I'll do my thing. What's your thing? Just keep fighting? How well did that work for you on SmackDown? You just keep fighting, I'll just keep winning." God, these guys are so good together. And then we get Biggie versus Kevin Owens to wrap up the night. Fantastic match. Really, really fantastic.
Yeah. Biggie drops Kevin Owens quite early on. It was for a really early big ending. Obviously, it doesn't work. He ended up getting a belly to back to back to Kevin. He tries to get a third, but Kevin Owens headbutts Kevin Owen. Whoops. Kevin Owens headbutt.
One day you'll get it.
Goes for a third, but Kevin Owens headbutts E. He goes for the stunner, but Biggie evades it. He gets dumped from the ring, though. Biggie goes for the big splash on the apron, but Kevin Owens avoids it. Kevin Owens then cannonballs onto Biggie ringside, and then Seth comes out. That's the thing. Get back into the ring. Biggie goes to splash onto Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens once again avoids. Kevin gets Uranagi'd, though. He goes up top. Big E meets him up there. He gets sent down. Kevin Owens cannonballs down onto Big E's knees. Oh.
He went right through those knees.
The fucking noise it made. It was solid. That was meat slapping meat. Big E then sends Kevin to the apron, spears him off of it. Goes for the big ending again, but Kevin avoids it. Seth ends up striking Big E as the ref checks on Kevin. Big E still ends up winning, though, because Kevin goes to roll him up, and Big E reverses with a crucifix pin.
Yeah.
So.
And then basically Seth's walking up the stage, turns around and is like shocked that KO didn't get the win. And then Big E's like, "What the hell was that? You teaming with Seth now? You saw him hit me and you took advantage." And KO's like, "It's not what it looks like." Like I panicked. And this is like a kind of a callback to when Biggie was betrayed by KO, when he thought he could trust him. I don't know how many years ago that happened, but yeah. Some really good storytelling. Biggie then gives a big ending to KO when KO is like, "I'm really sorry. Like I sincerely did not mean to do that." And I wonder if this is the start of a heel turn for KO, possibly joining Seth. But we'll see. If they do join sides and their tag team is not the Vision, then I'm gonna have some problems.
I think that's fair. It was the promo at the end was a little confusing if nothing comes of it.
I'm sure something will, because next week they did say Seth Rollins versus KO, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Also, tomorrow on AEW Dark, Tony Nese is making his debut against Fuego del Sol.
Wow.
That's fun. So far, the matches for Dark are Pac versus Arturo Ruas, now Tiger Ruas, Ishmael Bond and Dante Smiley versus The Acclaimed, Ricky Shane Page versus Daniel Garcia, Fuego versus Tony Nese, Santana Garrett versus The Bunny, Bobby Fish versus Ryzen, Viva Van versus Nyla Rose, and those are all the notable ones.
I just say I have been loving. Oh, Bobby first came out, I feel like the crowd was kind of like, I don't know what to do with this. But more and more recently, he's gotten people like kind of to their feet. He's gotten people aggravated, and I love that. I love shit disturber Bobby Fish. I am so glad we have that back. Never gonna shut up about this. I
know
just
you
need you to
won't.
understand. I never will.
He's acting like
This is
any other wrestler would.
this is everything to me. I am literally so happy.
All right. So, thus concludes the recap of tonight's episode. Stick around, everybody. We've got our bests of the night coming up now. And then we'll have our question segment where you should leave your question in the chat so we can answer it after the bests of the night. Leave in the chat now so it's there. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment with your question and we'll get to it in the next episode. If you're listening on Spotify, join in the live show. We'd love to talk to you in person. If you can make it. What?
Would you like a quick joke?
What's the joke?
What do you call a video game where you have to fight zombies and ghosts?
What is it?
Immortal Kombat. Don't you love it?
So let's go to promo of the night.
Why can't you accept my humor?
That was funny.
Thank you. Damn.
Also, you know one thing I noticed about tonight's episode? This is what happens when you don't have a big legend to prioritize on your show, like a Brock Lesnar or an Edge, and you can just put a spotlight on the whole roster. You know? I mean, they kind of had a spotlight on Seth, but it came and went.
I get that.
Okay. So, promo of the night. I want to just pick Seth and KO. Their promo.
Okay, that's fine.
I feel like that was the best one. All those guys are really good together.
Yeah, I definitely didn't have a problem with that promo. I thought it was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was very like tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. All right, so now let's go to the wrestler of the night. Let's see. This is tough because everyone did great today. I'm gonna give you 3. It's gonna be Biggie, T-Bar, or Bianca. Do you have a 4th one you want to add in?
I do not. My heart says T-Bar.
I mean, he did kill it.
He's really good tonight.
I'll go with T-Bar.
We don't always choose T-Bar.
Yeah. All right, so now let's move to match of the night. As always, we go from the worst to the best of the night, and Liz will say if she agrees. Once again, if you're watching on the live show, leave a comment or question in the chat so it's there when we move on. Okay, so worst match of the night 4 out of 10. Nikki and Rhea versus Carmella and Selena. I thought the match was just fine. It was like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. It's definitely not the worst women's tag match that they've given us. I thought the finish was funky and kind of dumb, but not bad. Okay, next up, 6 out of 10, Dirty Dogs vs. Street Profits. I thought the finish with Omos was kind of lame, but the length of the match and everyone in the match was just, they were killing it. This was some fun stuff. If only that weird finish hadn't happened. And then and you didn't mention it, but Randy was arguing with Omos, and he was like going after Omos, and then they quickly cut away. Like, it was so weird. Like, they cut to a recap.
I think also the weird thing was that, like, Jimmy was in the middle of saying something. The mic kind of cut. And 5 seconds later, once we got to that recap for Damien, Jimmy was like, and now, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, did they reprogram Jimmy in the middle of, like, fucking segment?
I guess so.
Reboot.
Also, just announced for WXW's 16 karat gold event in 2022 is AC Romero, Fuminori Abe, and Jonathan Gresham. Okay, so next up, 7 out of 10, Biggie versus Kevin Owens. This is a lot of fun. Like, this was just so solid. Yeah, great fun, hugely entertaining. Next up, 7 out of 10, Finn Balor versus Chad Gable. Extremely fun. This is a good length match that was extremely entertaining to watch. Next, another 7 out of 10, Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. Very fun match where the finish, although it was a DQ, it brings us to a very interesting place in the story and actually takes us somewhere from that point.
Ignore me.
What?
I can't get out of my chair because of the way my leg is positioned.
Uh-huh.
My battery's about to die.
I
had to use the tripod to wiggle my charging cord a little closer.
So next up, Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. 8 out of 10. This was great. Like, this was fantastic match. The turnbuckle spot was, you know, it's protecting Bianca. It's fine. Does she need protecting? Probably not. But still, very, very fun match that lasted like 20 minutes. Amazing. Fantastic. Finally, my pick for match of the night, Damien Priest versus T-Bar. This match was just incredible. It was brutal. It was jaw-dropping. Like, oh my god. This had no right being as great as it was. And yet, so entertaining. The story was great too. It didn't even need that much story to be as great as it is. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Fantastic.
I agree. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Alright, so to run it back, promo of the night. Biggie, Seth, and KO talk about Mount Rushmore. Wrestler of the night, T-Bar. Match of the night, Damien Priest versus T-Bar. Alright, you want to answer some questions? Do you? Okay.
I said, yeah, sure.
I didn't hear you at all. So Miriam in the chat asked, what is your favorite holiday song to play on repeat, and what is your most hated holiday song?
Woo, doggy. Let me start. All right, so we got fuck. We got Fairy Tale of New York, which is controversial, but it's one of my favorite songs. And of course, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. That one just sounds like somebody smacking a keyboard. Then on top of that, we've got first of all, Christmas Eve / Sarajevo by Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and Christmas Canon. Christmas Canon always makes me like a little weepy. And Last Christmas. Last Christmas is like my favorite, but also maybe one of my least favorites. In theory, my least favorite song is like Dominic the Donkey. Because if you haven't heard, but also at the same time, Dominic the Donkey is the catchiest Christmas song that like ever was made. And I find myself humming it pretty much all through the Christmas season. I'm so excited. I listened to Fairy Tale of New York because Vance Joy did a cover of it, and it was in my Discover Weekly, and I was like, "Ooh!"
So my favorite holiday songs. I'm not Jewish, but "Puppy for Hanukkah" by Daveed Diggs is one of my favorites. Came out last year, but it's fantastic. Also love "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree."
That's
Because
one of my least favorite things.
oh, I loved it because it was in like every Christmas movie I watched as a kid, so that's why I love it.
It's fair.
And my most hated holiday song is any that are played before December.
Oh, so it's gonna be all of them.
Yes.
Because, boy howdy, I also don't really like I don't like the super new ones.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's sung by like Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
I feel like he's got like an old voice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think one of my least favorite songs is "Do They Know It's Christmas" by Band Aid.
Mm.
Because that's the most fucked up song that has ever existed. Yeah, man, I'm so excited for Christmas, and like not even just Christmas. I'm so excited for the holiday season. I'm gonna start listening to this music like probably next time I drive, because I'll probably be alone next time I drive.
Hey Liz, you want to close the show?
Oh, I'm just really into Christmas songs,
I know.
holiday songs, like White Christmas. Oh wait, no, that's not a holiday song. It's a Christmas song. Silver Bells is technically no, because they say Christmas time.
You want to close out the show?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, actually, before you do that,
oh,
tomorrow, immediately after our NXT post show, we will be going right into our 2K20 stream. Because we forgot last week's, so we're giving you 2K20 Battle of the Brand streams this week. One will be immediately after NXT, and after the NXT post show, and the other will be the following day, right after Dynamite. So you won't want to miss those. Anyway, let's.
Oh, you won't. All right. So if you joined us tonight, thank you so much, and if you join us in the future, thank you so much. I love you.
What?
Happy daylight savings time is over. It's this weekend. To get a whole hour of sleep back. Yeah. Please join us tomorrow night for our NXT podcast, and of course, as Mark just said, our WWE 2K20 podcast as well.
Stop calling it a podcast. It's a stream.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Watch us play video game. Yeah. And if you want to, please check us out on Spotify. We are on Spotify as the Pinfall Podcast. What did you expect?
If you search, I believe if you search the pin F. No. I think if you search the pin F, we should be the first thing that comes up on Spotify.
Should be. I don't know if it's Spotify being like, I know this face and like shows it to you.
But we are the first thing that comes up if you search the Pinfall Podcast.
Right. And I am doing a better job of uploading episodes regularly. This episode will be up as soon as it's on YouTube, so I can rip the audio from YouTube. YouTube does not allow, and I kind of get it, but I also don't. Yes.
So you say that in a video that is going on YouTube?
I feel like you should be able to like log into your account and just rip the audio without having to go through some sneaky, weird site that's definitely going to put malware on my computer.
Yeah.
It's absolutely recording me as I speak.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Follow and subscribe. We appreciate all the support you folks give us. And it all helps make this show better. So, again, subscribe and follow. Our YouTube is the Pinfall Podcast. Like Liz said, our Spotify is the Pinfall Podcast. If you're watching anywhere else, our live show is twitch.tv/the Pinfall Podcast. Come and chat with us live. Our Twitter is at Pinfall Podcast. I'm at the Mark Cameron. Liz is at Eliza Elaine23, and we'll see you tomorrow for our NXT 2.0 podcast, plus our 2K20 Battle of the Brand stream. Hope to see you then.